You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. This is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, and everybody else out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all of this together into one package. What you get is the mindset, the method, the philosophy, the book, the show called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Congratulate yourself on being here. Today's topic is how to keep your past in the past. How to make sure that whatever has happened in the history of your life is not holding you back. How to make sure it is not keeping you from moving forward. I'm not saying how to make that the past didn't happen or how to keep anybody from finding out about it, which is damn near impossible in our digital era, which is only going to become more digital, I think, as we move forward. There are only things that happened in the past are going to become more and more known about as we move forward. Not less, but more. But how do you keep that past from slowing you down, from holding you back? How do you keep yourself from holding on to it, at least the parts that are not serving you? How can you do that? That's what we're talking about here today. Back in episode number 517, I talked this topic of you can only grab the future by letting go of the past. You can listen to that again. That's episode 517 as a member of the game group, which you get access to for free by going to workonmygame.com/game group. And today's topic is about how to execute on the letting go part of that advice that, again, you get in that episode. So again, the topic, how to keep your past in the past. Let's go right into the point so I don't step on anything that I'm going to say here. Point number one, stop replaying your bad movies. In chapter 11 of my book, Work on Your Game, which you can get at workonyourgamebook.com. In chapter 11, I went over, the chapter was titled, Bad Mental Errors That Good People Are Always Making. And one of these bad mental errors that good people make is we replay bad movies in our head over and over and over again. Now, if you ever been to the movies, which I'm sure you have, or you ever queued up Hulu or Netflix or Apple has a TV channel now, Amazon Prime, anywhere where you can watch a movie, documentary, a rom-com, some sci-fi flick, anything that you were going to invest some time into, and then you watched it, or maybe you didn't even get through the whole thing because it was just so bad, it just sucked. When it was over, or your experience was over, you said to yourself, all right, that was terrible. Maybe whoever you were with, that wasn't very good. We're not going to watch that one again. If you knew of a friend who was going to watch it, you will let them know so they didn't watch it again. You're not going to watch that bad movie ever again. You wouldn't make that investment again because you know it wasn't worth it. So, by the same token, in your life, when you go through a situation that you didn't want to go through, something that did not turn out the way that you expected, something that just went completely left when you thought it was going to go right, something that went backwards when you wanted it to go forward, why would you, in your mind, keep thinking about that situation and how terrible it was, how bad you felt, how much time you wasted, how frustrated you were, how much that this person or these people did you wrong, how unfair the whole situation was? Why would you keep putting yourself mentally into that space to feel the way now that you felt then? Why do you keep making yourself feel that energy over and over and over again? We know that energy is 85% of the job in life, maybe even more than that, but it's at least 85%. Once you've gone through that bad movie, that bad scene, that bad scenario in your life, we can't say that it didn't happen. It absolutely did happen, but it happened. Happened meaning, with that ED on the end, that means past tense. It's over. It wasn't great. That's okay. Now what you need to do is stop replaying that situation in your mind. Stop talking about it so much. Stop carrying that energy around with you, because everyone here has heard that the mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Therefore, when you go through something, let's say if you just decided to imagine something that has never occurred in your life, but you just decide to imagine it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, your mind is going to experience that thing as if it's actually happening, because your mind is only going off of whatever you're feeding it. So if you're feeding it this great thing happening and you really allow yourself to feel it emotionally as if it's actually taking place, your mind is going to experience it as something that you've actually gone through. And if it's something negative, it's going to do the same thing. And it works the exact same way with your past experiences. So when you take a past experience of something that went great for you, that you were happy about, that you felt good about, you can keep that memory in your mind. So anytime that anyone who's ever lost a loved one, or maybe you're far removed from a great situation that happened sometime in your past, so you think back to your childhood, some happy moment when you were a kid, you can almost, if you allow yourself, you can allow yourself to experience that moment all over again, even though you're not physically in that place. Mentally, you get so much into that place that you forget where you are physically in that moment. That's the way the mind works. That's the power of the mind. And notice that I gave you both sides of it. The mind has the power to drag you down and make you feel terrible, even though nothing terrible is actually happening right now, because you have the power to imagine terrible things, whether something that has actually occurred or something that has never occurred. You can make yourself feel enough fear and anxiety about something that could happen in the future that may never even occur, that it could destroy your present equilibrium, your present peace. I'm sure you've done that before, by mistake, of course. And at the same time, the mind has the power to put you in such a positive state. Even if things are not going the way that you want them to go tangibly right now, the mind has the power to put you in such a positive state that you can feel great, even though things are not going so great right now. And this power of the mind is all your power. You have 100% control over it, but you must first learn to control it. First of all, you got to become conscious that you have the control. And I just told you, become even more conscious that you're really thinking about it on a consistent basis. Then start using it. You won't really understand it from listening to me say it to you, but you'll really understand it once you start actually putting this work. I mentioned to you before, you have access to that at workonmygame.com/workbook. This book is all about programming your subconscious mind, conditioning your mind to put yourself in those states, those frames of mind that really put you into positive energy to help you do what you need to do and be who you need to be. Then you do what you need to do so you can get what you want to get in life. Again, that's the mental workbook. That's the power of the mind. Replaying bad movies is something that you have control over at all times. You can replay as many bad movies as you want. You can watch the same bad movie over and over and over again to the point that, and I want you to think, if you know anyone who fits this description, they've replayed bad movies so often in their mind that it's almost like they're conditioned to get into that frame of mind. Whatever that bad movie made them feel when it actually happened, they're conditioned to get themselves into that state just at the drop of a hat, at the snap of a finger. You know anybody who, no matter what's going on, they always find a reason to get mad? You know any person, no matter what the circumstance or situation, they always find something to complain about, or some reason to be frustrated, or some reason to be pessimistic, or some reason to second guess and question whatever the plan is, or some reason to think of how things are not going to go right. You know anybody who has ever done that, or someone who always does it? What is that? That's their program. That's their mental conditioning. And it happens because they are replaying certain bad movies in their minds over and over again. It might have happened to them one time that something just didn't go right. Some plan just didn't work out the way they wanted it to. And they condition themselves by replaying that movie over and over and over again in their minds so many times that anything that happens in their future, they are already ready to start thinking that same way. Because they watch the movie so many times. You ever watch a movie that you like so many times that you know the lines? You know what they're going to say before they say it. You've seen the scene 100 times and you like it so much that you want to watch it one more time because it makes you feel good. It takes you to that mental space, that space of energy of feeling good as if you're just seeing it for the first time, even though you're seeing it for the 97th time. Any of you have any scenes that you've seen on TV, or something you saw on a sports game, or something you saw on your favorite show, or your favorite movies, or a favorite joke that someone tells, or a story that you tell, all over again, just telling part of the story, even though you told the story so many times already. Maybe you're telling the people who already heard it, but they want to hear it again. That's the power of the mind when you bring yourself back to a certain space, replaying a movie. So replay the good movies in your mind. Just don't replay the bad movies, because when you carry around the energy from a bad movie and you're thinking about your past so much, that last bad movie that you saw, understand that nobody else is thinking about it the way that you're thinking about it. Even if somebody knows about something that happened in your past that isn't so great, that didn't reflect too well on you, that didn't work out the way that you or others expected, they're not thinking about it as much as you are thinking about it. So when you encounter another person, understand that they are only seeing you as however it is you choose to present yourself right there in that moment. The reason why, even though they may know about your past, the reason why they can only judge you based on what you're presenting yourself in the moment as, is because we are all narcissists. We are all thinking about ourselves much more than we are thinking about anyone else. Therefore, people don't have the mental capacity. Actually, they have it, but they're not going to dedicate the mental resources to be thinking about what you may be thinking, what's going on in your past. How do I juxtapose what I'm seeing right now, looking at you, versus what happened in their past, at least the parts that they know about? How do I figure out which one to believe? People are not doing that with you. You're not doing it when you meet anybody, are you? And people are not doing it when they meet you and when they engage with you. You know what they're going off of? Whatever you present yourself as right there in that moment. It can overpower whatever they thought they knew before they came across you. That's the way that it works. Therefore, when you come into any interaction with another person, whether it's in the flesh, in person, on the phone, written material, something you recorded and you put out so people could engage with it, they are only gauging off the energy that they can perceive right there in that moment. So you can choose which movie you're going to condition yourself to run when you deal with other people. And you can choose different movies. Hopefully they're all serving you in a positive way, but you never have to allow the bad movie from the past to be controlling your energy in the present. When you bring the past everywhere with you, you are forcing other people to notice the past because they're forced to look at this bad movie that you're replaying through your energy right now. It's the only thing they can go off of because that's what's right in front of them. It's kind of like if you get served a plate of food and you start dumping a whole bunch of salt on the food before you even taste the food. You might want to taste it first before you put more salt on it, right? So the energy that you're putting out right there is whatever it is you want people to feel about you, whatever it is you want people to perceive you as, put that energy out there. Don't throw any salt in a kind of a negative way, a way that you don't want, on top of the food if it doesn't need any already. It's already enough soup. It's already seasoned properly. You don't need to put any extra seasoning on it. So make sure you taste the food before you put the salt on it, if you understand the extended metaphor there. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to keep your past in the past. Change the story. In episode number 1250, I talked about how to change your story in life. If you don't like the story that's been being told up to this point, there's a way that the story can change. Again, that's episode 1250. And when I say changing the story, I don't mean lying. I don't mean saying, all right, the story says it was this, but I'm going to tell you it was the complete opposite. No, that's not what I mean. When I say change the story, what I mean is finding a new angle that incorporates that both incorporates your past, but at the same time actually works in your favor. So even though there may be some part of your past, is what we're talking about here today, is how to keep the past in the past. But I'm talking about the past that you don't like, the parts that you don't like about the past. I'm talking to you about how you can take those elements from the past, but actually find an angle from there that works for you instead of an angle that is working against you. I'll give you an example with Jay-Z. Everyone knows who Jay-Z is, right? You may know him as Beyonce's husband. But before he became a famous musician, Jay-Z was in the streets as a drug dealer. And for many years, he was in the streets doing what he was doing. And he just happened to be one of the few drug dealers, he had a career as a drug dealer. He's one of the few who slipped through the cracks. In other words, he didn't get caught and get a whole lot of prison time, and he didn't get murdered out there in the streets. Now, once he made it into the music game, Jay-Z smartly incorporated that past into what he was doing in the present. And the present being every year he was rapping and putting his music out and being there in the public eye, because he knew smartly, maybe he had the foresight to see, listen, I can't come into the music game and act like I wasn't doing what I was doing for many years as a drug dealer. I'm not going to pretend like that wasn't happening. I'm going to make sure people know, yes, this is exactly what I was doing. This is what I went through. But at the same time, Jay-Z was conscious enough to understand, okay, just being a drug dealer and selling illicit drugs in the streets and helping people destroy their own lives, that's not that great of a look. You know, I may not want to glorify it that much, so let me mix something else in here. Let me come up with another angle to this. That's one angle to drug dealing, is that you're selling drugs that are illegal. You're doing something that's illegal, selling them to people who are only going to make themselves worse. Nobody taking illicit drugs ever made their lives better through doing that. So Jay-Z figured, you know what, let me get a different angle to this, but I'm not going to act like it didn't happen. So what did he do? He incorporated his past as a criminal into his present and his future by admitting, yeah, I did sell drugs, but I want you to understand, Look how that hustling mindset, the mindset that told me it was do or die, that was now or never, that I had to do something in order to get out of my situation. I took that same hustler mindset and it allowed me to become successful in music, become successful in pop culture, become successful as an entrepreneur and a businessman. All he did was find a different angle for it. So nowadays, when Jay-Z's name gets mentioned, he gets talked about as this great businessman, this ultimate hustler, this guy who has superior foresight, who just sees different ways of capitalizing of what's going on, included, of course, with his talent and making something great out of it, even though his past is still his past. I mean, there are thousands of other people who are out there in the streets doing the same thing that Jay-Z was doing, maybe at the same level or maybe even more success or less, but they weren't able to find that other angle and market that angle in such a way that Jay-Z has, that now he can shake hands with the president and he's just completely accepted, simply because, not because he didn't do what he did, he talks about it openly, but because he found a different angle for it, that people that have allowed a whole lot of people, a large majority of people, to accept his past and say, you know what, yeah, he did do that, but he found a way to find a positive angle from it. You can do the exact same thing with your background. Of course, it will help if you can combine it with some talent the way that Jay-Z did. I'll give you another example. Another musician by the name of Cardi B. Female rapper that I think most of you know who she is. She might be more popular than Jay-Z right now, or more famous, let's say, than Jay-Z. And Cardi B used to be a stripper. Now, not everyone, now, even though stripping is not illegal, like drug dealing is illegal, the interesting thing is some people may find stripping to be more objectionable than drug dealing because of their morals, and everybody has their own perspectives, their own likes and dislikes, so whatever. But what I'm bringing up Cardi B for is she could take her background and do the same thing. She could say, yeah, I did used to be a stripper, and I did have that lifestyle of doing what I needed to do in order to make money for myself so I could take care of myself, my family, and move forward in life and stay alive and pay my bills and eat every single day. But look, that same mindset that drove me to being a stripper and made me I guess she was a successful stripper, that same mindset is what makes me a popular musician today, because I'm taking all the stuff that I learned and all the stuff that I did and the type of person that I am that put me on that stage and on that stripper pole, and I'm putting that same energy, that same person, that same everything out there to the world right now as a musician, and it's working for me. And nobody can say that it's not. And people will accept it because of the success that she has. The thing about success is that it changes your story. I did a whole episode on that as well. And again, if you're a member of the game group, you can access every episode that's ever come out of the Work on Your Game show. But Cardi B, Jay-Z, both of them did the same thing. Took a past that some people may disagree with, that a lot of people may disagree with, and they found an angle of that past, combined it with the talent and the success they've created in the present, and actually made it work for them instead of trying to hide their past or act like their past didn't happen or feel like they have to cover up their past in some way with the things that they're doing in the present. They said, no, I'm not going to cover it up. I'm actually going to exploit it. Most of us, especially in these days, we find ourselves, maybe you found yourself not wanting your past to get dug up. By having some things in your past that you just do not want anybody to know about. You don't want them to be publicized in any way, shape, or form. We try to minimize what's happened in the past. Well, the problem is, number one, there are too many digital receipts out here these days that you're probably not going to be able to cover certain things up, especially if you become a very well-known person. Your name becomes well-known for whatever reason. It'll be damn near impossible for you to cover things up because there are too many people looking for you to cover them all up at the same time. You can't beat the internet by yourself. But what you can do, like Jay-Z did and like what Cardi B did, is flip the script and actually use your past to your advantage. Again, if you can mix it in with some success in the present, that'll help this process a whole lot more. And point number 3, today's topic is how to keep your past in the past. Here's the most important thing of everything that we've talked about here that I touched on in point number 2. Create new memories by maximizing the present moment. This is what Jay-Z and Cardi B did. Now, Jay-Z had just walked around and said, look, I used to deal drugs. I don't deal drugs anymore, but, I'm not really doing much right now in the present. I just used to deal drugs and I don't do it anymore. He just kept talking about that. Eventually, we stopped paying attention to Jay-Z. He wouldn't be interesting. Wouldn't be anything about him that we need to talk about. We wouldn't even be mentioning his name right now because he's just been another person who used to do something. And I just did, and you just heard an episode not too long ago, never be the used to be individual, talking about what you used to do, but you're not doing anything right now. The best thing you can do to keep your past in the past and or to make your past more, I guess we can say acceptable, could be one word, or to utilize something in your past that you may not be so proud about and actually use it to your advantage, is you got to create new memories by maximizing the present moment, creating success for yourself right now. So when people look back into your past, they don't try to hold it against you as much simply because you have so much success right now that they don't want to go against that. See, it's easy to hold someone's past against them when they don't have that much success happening in the present, that there's a juxtaposition between the two. See, a person who has a whole lot of success right now in the present, even if you find something objectionable, something that could be attacked from their past, it's really hard to bring it against them and really get any traction with it, because success is like Teflon, people. Things just bounce off of you the more success you have, like with Jay-Z, like with Cardi B. You could think of someone like Kevin Hart, the comedian. About, let's say, 10 years ago, in the early days of Twitter, he had made some jokes. As he's a comedian, he had made some jokes, some homophobic jokes on his Twitter account. People dug it up when Kevin Hart was set to be the host of the Oscar Awards. I believe it was the Oscar Awards. And then Kevin Hart was demanded to give an apology because of these tweets from 10 years ago. He said, I've already talked about those things. I'm not apologizing again. So then he got dropped from hosting it. Then they couldn't find another host, and they actually tried to get Kevin Hart to come back. And Kevin Hart said, no, I'm not coming back. And the whole point, I mean, there are a lot of points to that, but one point that I want to draw from that is that Kevin Hart had enough success that he didn't have to allow his past to draw him back into the past again. He said, I don't have to apologize for it anymore because, first of all, I already did. Second of all, Oscar Awards, I have enough success that even if you drop me from hosting this show, my success is not going away. You can't destroy my success by bringing up this old shit from 10 years ago. Whether you want to or not, you can't. Because he had enough success in the present. He was creating enough memories in the present moment that his past couldn't slow him down. Now, if you don't have any memories in the present moment, if you're not doing much in the present, you don't have enough success in the present moment, then something that happens in your past can be the only thing people know about you. Somebody Googles you and the only thing they see is this objectionable thing in the past, this thing that you're not proud of, this thing that you're embarrassed about, this thing that you want to hide and cover up and not have people talking about. That's the only thing people could find about you, then that's what the story is going to be. That's what the internet's going to say about you. But look, there's nothing stopping you from creating so much success in the present that nothing that comes up out of your past is going to cover up all the successful things that you are doing now. In other words, you need to be so good right now that your past either doesn't matter, or even if it does matter, all it's going to do is serve to make you look even better, because people are going to say, hey, why is everybody trying to bring up all this old past stuff about person XYZ? Look at all the great things that they're doing right now. Why are you trying to bring up this negative stuff from the past? The more great stuff you're doing now, the more of a wall, we'll say, you have to block any of the negativity that comes from your past that people try to throw at you. When I was going to exposure camps coming out of college in the early mid 2000s, that first decade of this century, I didn't apologize for not playing my senior year at a Division III college, which is the actual true story. That was my actual past. That was my actual resume, because I knew once I got on that court, those scouts and those agents and those teams are going to see me play. And I was thinking to myself, they're going to say, well, look, this guy couldn't play for his Division III school for whatever reason, but look, we're seeing this dude play. Shit, he could play for us. I signed him to a contract. The more noteworthy things that you do right now, stuff that will become part of your past with each passing day, the more you change your story of your past. Everything that you did yesterday is now part of your past. Everything that you do today, tomorrow, should you make it, is going to be part of your past. So everything that you're doing in this moment is creating more of your resume that people will be able to pull up in the future. That's why you need to make the most of this present moment. Don't worry so much about what's happened in the past, but make sure you're taking advantage of what you have right now. And the more noteworthy those things that you're doing, again, the better it'll be in your favor. Steve Jobs, a guy I've mentioned many times here on the show, he was such an ass that he got kicked out of his own company. Can you imagine starting a company from nothing and you being the one who gets kicked out of it by people who weren't even there when you started it because you were such an asshole that they had to get rid of you? That's what happened to Steve Jobs. All right, that was part of his story. But he came back. When he finally came back to Apple years later, he did so many great things on his comeback that the other parts of the story about him getting kicked out of his own company, people only mention him as a setup for telling you how great he was. right? That's exactly how it works when you follow these steps of keeping your past in the past. So let's recap today's topic, which is, again, keeping your past in the past. I suggest you refer back to episode 517, which is you can only grab the future by letting go of what has happened in your past. Today is about how to execute on that. Point number 1, stop replaying your bad movies. Reread chapter 11 of my book, Work on Your Game. Knowing that something happened in the past, that it happened, you don't have to keep thinking about it and bringing that energy with you. You can bring positive energy with you the same way you can bring negative or embarrassed or anxious energy with you or fearful energy with you. To everyone you come across, they are only seeing what you are presenting yourself as in the moment, because we are all narcissists. We're all thinking more about ourselves than anyone else. We do not have the time to try to dissect whether you're showing us the real you or there's something else that we need to go look into. We're just going to go off of what we see. We will judge off appearances. We judge books by their covers. Point number 2, change the story. Episode 1250, we just talked about this. And when I say change the story, I don't mean to lie. I mean, you find a new angle of what's happened in your past, combine it with the success of your present, and allow all of it to work in your favor. Jay-Z did it. Cardi B has done it. Most of us, especially in these days, we try to keep our past from being dug up because people might try to use it against us, or we try to minimize it. But understand, you can flip the script on your past and start using it to your advantage, because it's going to be pretty hard for you to block it from getting out there anyway. I mean, think of someone like Kim Kardashian is another example. When her sex tape came out, at first a whole lot of people were saying, well, this woman had sex on tape, or this woman was with all these men, she's no good, don't anybody follow her. But she actually utilized it to her advantage. But everybody at that moment was saying her name either in a positive way or a negative way, but everyone was paying attention. She capitalized on that attention and turned it into a huge business for herself and all the people in her family. That is flipping the script. Point number 3, most important, create new memories by maximizing the present moment. Kim Kardashian, I'll use her as an example again. Even though that sex tape kind of came and went, people don't even really talk about the sex tape anymore when they bring up Kim Kardashian. Why is that? Because she maximized the moment of all that attention that was on her and got herself a TV show, utilized her personality, showed her personality, got her stepdad into the mix, Bruce Jenner, who's now, Caitlyn Jenner now, got her mom involved, introduced her sisters, introduced her brothers, and now they're all famous now, all off of Kim Kardashian, because she was able to notice, I guess her and her mom, the manager, they were able to notice all the attention that was on her and maximize the present moment and create a whole new story around her and all these other people in her family at the exact same time. This is what I mean by creating new memories, maximizing the present moment. Be so good right now at what you're doing that people don't even bring up your past anymore, or if they do, they look like the idiots trying to bring you down because you have so much success that they look like a fool because they're the ones in the minority trying to make you look bad by bringing up your past, while everybody else, the majority, is looking at your present and all the successes you have right now. This is how success in the present can help you live down anything or get rid of or utilize in a positive way anything that's happened in your past. Steve Jobs, again, he got kicked out of his own company because he was a real dirt in leadership, but when he came back, all those great things that he did in his second stint at Apple, those things were so great that they surpassed the story. They became more important than the story of him being such a jerk that he got kicked out of his own company. It's the same thing that you can do when you are constantly creating success in the present moment, because it all becomes part of your past as soon as it is taking place. Now, in the game group, what I've done is organize everything you heard about me talk about today. I mean, I talked about like 20 different principles of utilizing your past, creating success, mental alchemy, not allowing negative things to hold you back, communication, branding, selling yourself, marketing yourself, finding different angles. I talked about all of those at different points here on this show, and I've organized everything that's ever come out on the Work on Your Game show into categories and also in order from the very beginnings of this show back in 2016. And I want you to have free access to all of it. So all you need to do is go to workonmygame.com/game group. And you get full access to the game group. Not only do you get what I just told you about, there are 6 game group exclusive courses that you cannot access anywhere else but through your game group membership that are a part of it. There's a whole lot of other things that I'm going to let you hear about in one moment. Work on your game. Dre all day.